InnerLight here, live in Kardec Radio, Facebook. But we know that also a lot of people are listening through the app of Kardec Radio. So welcome to all of you. So while our friends connect here via Facebook, I just want to remind you, if you are new to this show, to this talk, we study weekly, every Thursday from 9 p.m. Eastern Time till 10 p.m. Eastern Time, these beautiful books, Among Brothers of Other Lands. And today we are in chapter 24. And within 40 minutes, we finish and we study this other beautiful book, The Gospel According to Spiritism. So it's a 1 hour talk, conversation, and I would like to welcome all of you to ask questions, to write messages, comments, so we can do this a little bit more interactive. So I'm just trying to see if we are live. I believe so. Let me just check here. One moment. Yes, it's working. So very good, very good. So if you have never been with us, I always like to start with a short prayer and also to end with a short prayer. And since the coronavirus situation started, I invited all my friends, neighbors, everybody that I know to join me every day at 10 p.m. in a very short prayer, like 1 minute prayer for our whole planet, not just for ourselves or our family, but to all the population of our planet in all the different countries. So if you stay with us until the end of this show tonight, we are going to do it together. So I hope you also have your bottle of water, because we believe that the spirits, the enlightened spirits, they actually can magnetize the water and make it a medication for us during the week. And then if your water starts finishing, then you can put more water and have more medication until we come back again next Thursday. Okay, so 1 minute prayer. Jesus, our brother, thank you so much for again bringing us here together to study these beautiful books, helping us to be able to fully understand the thoughts, everything that's written there, because we need to understand it, to accept it with our hearts, and then to be able to fully put in practice. So please stay with us now and always. Thank you so much. So be it. Very good, my friends. I'm just trying to understand if it's connected, because I don't see any comments here. I just hope we are not having other issues as we always do with internet. Just 1 second, please. I believe it's working. So let's start. So what I always do, I always read the whole chapter, and then I start dissecting it. Like, how can I say? I start putting little by little comments on everything that's important. The chapter of today is just 2 pages, so not very difficult. So let's go. 24. The furniture, and the author is the spirit Hilário Silva. So I always like to comment a little bit on the author. So Hilário Silva is a spirit that André Luiz, the spirit who actually wrote the book Nosso Lar, and many other books through the mediumship of Chico Xavier, he and André Luiz, they met in the lower zones. So they are friends from the lower zone. So André Luiz met him and he already had a lot of knowledge. So it is a spirit that brought lots of beautiful text through Chico Xavier. So let's see what he writes in this text called The Furniture. The truck stopped in front of a great market on 48th in New York, where Doug Sanford, not Stanford, Doug Sanford worked. Sanford was a 50-year-old single man. He was well known for being a distinguished and industrious spiritist. For that reason, Bobby Best, a colleague in service and companion of faith, noted that Sanford, a bit worried, followed carefully the precious Austrian furniture that was being transported by a machine, while Bobby approached him and said in curiosity, "You are right in carefully protecting these articles," and caressing mirrors, chandeliers, pillows, and curtains, he added, "What beautiful furniture! Ah, if I could, I would have a similar one. What good taste!" Because Doug said nothing, Bobby returned to the issue. "Look at the high embossing, high reliefs." So this I want to make an addendum because I had to research what was embossing. I was like, what is embossing? So I found out that the embossing is actually a print designer done in metal. So it's like you have some kind of metal intricated with beautiful design, but it's done in metal. So it's called embossing. Look at the high embossing, high reliefs, admirable filigree. That's another thing I also had to research. What is a filigree? So a filigree is also an intricate metal work. So it's a type of embossing, but it's a very intricate. It's like difficult, complicated, lots and lots of detail. So it's called filigree. I would be so happy if I had a treasure like this. You naturally agree with me. Doug only affirmed, yes, yes. Because of that, Bobby asked him directly, "Where do these rarities go?" And the friend, "They will be sent to a home of less fortunate elderly people." "My God!" screamed Bob, stunned. "Who did such donation? Where does such a fortune come from?" "This furniture," said Doug, "was bought by my grandparents. Belonged to my mom, who recently discarnated. And it is finally leaving our home." "Why do you say it like that?" And the friend explained, "I have two married sisters that disputed this furniture with such ambition that their husbands shot each other with a gun last week, got into a fight against each other in a way that they were hurt, and we were all arrested by the police. With sacrifice, I acquired all this furniture to offer it to the elderly in need. Without a doubt, it is an heirloom of my grandparents' good taste. So heirloom is like something extremely expensive, something rare, something really exotic and beautiful. So without a doubt, it is heirloom of my grandparents' good taste. And before the maneuvers of the truck that was driving away, he finished up. But all material heirloom, when capable of disturbing the family or destroying our peace of spirit, it must leave our environment with the mercy of God. New York, USA, July 1st, 1965. Wow. Powerful, powerful story. Very difficult story, and it happens a lot. This was in 1964, 65, and we are in 2020, and this is still happening a lot nowadays. Let me just see. Wow, it's good. I see some people here, so it's actually working. Hi, Teresa. How are you? Hello, Matthew. Saul, Carla. Hello, everybody. I'm glad it's working. So when I started studying this text, I was like, what a funny text. The title is The Furniture. Why the spirits are going to talk about the furniture? But when you go through the story and you put yourself in the shoes of this friend who is seeing these beautiful, amazing pieces of furniture, this rarity, and is seeing that his friend is actually putting in a truck and someone is getting it. And then when you understand the story that this was actually his friend's family, the grandparents bought it, the mom used, and then his two sisters, the two sisters were fighting to have it. And then when you see that he said the two sisters' husbands went into a gunfight and they shot each other, because of some kind of turmoil, because of some kind of fight they had, because both sisters wanted to have the furniture. That's very, very difficult. So you can imagine this brother seeing that his mother died not long ago, as he just said, and then his whole family was in turmoil, because now his two sisters are fighting, and obviously the husbands, they will tend to do whatever their wives want. So now we have the two sisters, their husbands, this family really shaken, because you can imagine they shot each other, the consequences of this act. So this, we don't know if the sisters will ever talk again, if they will be loving to each other again. So this brother, he had the idea of really acquiring this furniture. So by what I imagine, it's my opinion, I'm not sure, but he mentioned here, let me see where he mentions, so he said, let's do, without a doubt, no. I can't see where he mentioned that, but he mentions that he acquired the furniture. He acquired the furniture. And so when he says that he acquired the furniture, is because he bought it. And it was difficult. Remember, he said it was difficult. So he probably had to pay money to both sisters in order to get the furniture. So none of the sisters would get the furniture, and he would get the furniture, but he actually got the furniture to donate to somebody else. So that furniture that was the object of dispute, the object of envy and hatred, wouldn't stay in their family, in his family. And so this is something that, it's very hard for us to think. Like, we see these things happening with other families, with other people. And we never imagined this is going to happen in our family. But unfortunately, many times it happens. And, you know, in this case, it was expensive furniture, but I have seen in many other cases of jewelry, little pieces of jewelry that one sister or one son or brother wanted, and they start fighting because of it. And then someone hid it and stole it. And in other cases, money really that was taken. So it's very tough, especially for the spirit. Can you imagine these grandparents and the mother in the spiritual realm, maybe still recovering, maybe trying to be fine, still in the turbulence moments that everyone will face it differently. You know, some people will take months, other people will take years in order to be able to fully be awake and functioning and understanding they are discarnated. We know that there are lots and lots and lots of spirits that wake up in the spiritual realm and they do not understand they are dead. They do not understand they are dead. They think they are alive. I know when we talk about it, people say, oh, but this is crazy, this is impossible. How they think they are alive, how they think they are gonna go to the living room, they sit next to people, nobody talk to them. But it is true. It is true. A lot of people do not have this understanding. And they get very perturbed. They are in a state of perturbation. So they talk to people and people don't talk about them. And they feel like they are being ignored for some reason. They can't understand. A lot of them are in hospital, so they see themselves in a hospital. So there are so many intangibles to each different situation, but we see lots and lots of cases like this in the mediumistic meetings when the spirits come and they describe a situation and they describe a lot of pain and suffering, and they say that they had some kind of accident and they are full of blood and nobody's helping them. So we're like, this looks like he had an accident and he actually died, but he did not realize he is dead. But it doesn't matter. What I was trying to say is that if this mother that recently had the cross to the other side has some kind of a fluidic connection, because many times we are still connected with our place of living. We already crossed, but we are super connected, especially with kids, our kids. You know, mothers and kids are very connected. So can you imagine the pain for this mother to see her sisters that might not have had such a bad relationship before, but after the mom died, they start fighting for the possessions, and they end up inducing their husbands to fight against each other, and they actually shot each other. So it's very painful for the spirit, and it's also very painful to the whole family. Imagine a family being destroyed because of material things. So this is one example, a simple example that can happen in anybody's life. Now, think about when you are very, very rich. So things get much, much worse, much more complicated. Last week, I was watching a TV show that was talking about an actor that I really, really like. He was a comedian of many years ago. He died, and I already lived here, so I was not following much. So I started searching in Google, searching on YouTube, his interviews about his life, and going through many things. I discovered that his family is all fighting. He had many kids with different wives, and you have no idea how badly they are fighting. And these fights, they go for a long time. It's nothing easy. But the worst in this case, in this particular case, was one interview that I saw, and the reporter asked him. He was like 65, 60, I think, in the time. And the reporter said, oh, we just found out that you bought 12 apartments just this year. What is it? Are you Santa Claus? And then he said, no, I just decided to buy one apartment to each of my kids and wives, ex-wives, and the people that he adopted kids to, because I don't want them fighting after I die. So I was very shocked because he was mentioning it, and even if he was so generous before he died, when he died, the fight was in the same way. So when we go back, well, let me even read here. I didn't read anything. So Teresa said, poor discarnated spirit who had belong to, hopefully they did not suffer from these negative energies. Yes, Teresa, hopefully was still in a time of turmoil that didn't have access to this type of information. But we know sooner or later she will, because we will get this information, maybe much later, and hopefully the relationship will be better. And then Saul said, he said, material heirloom, when capable of disturbing the family, or, oh yeah, I think it's the last sentence, huh? Let me put it here. Material heirloom, when capable of disturbing the family or destroying our peace of spirit, it must leave our environment with the mercy of God. Oh, yes. Yes. So that's exactly what he did, and he acted very intelligently, because he purchased this furniture, and so the last sentence, that's when he says, but all material heirloom, when capable of disturbing the family or destroying our peace of spirit, it must leave our environment with the mercy of God. So this is true. And I believe I already mentioned a few times this here, but this is very connected to the subject. So I'm gonna tell you again. Let me see if there is anything else that we can talk about here. Now I don't think so. It's just the story of Doug and Bobby, and then he was so amazed with the filigree and the embossing. I really like the fact that I was able to learn new words. We studied few chapters. Oh, actually chapter 23rd. The word, remember? We studied the word, and the chapter 23, the word was telling us how important it is for us to improve our vocabulary. So we are always improving, always having a broader understanding, not just related to Spiritism, but to anything. And for us that speak maybe more than one language is even a better thing, because now we improved twice. So I loved these new words we got today. So what I was talking about, the furniture, is a story that I already mentioned here, but I'm going to mention again because it's very interesting. It happened to me many years ago. I still lived in New York, and a friend of mine also lived in New York, in Brooklyn, and he was working in a very fancy, it's not thrift store. Thrift store is more like a simple, forgot the name, but it's a stylish thrift store. But the things there were extremely expensive, and there were like purses, you know, bags from super high level brands, bags that cost like $2,000, and they were selling like for 200, 300. So he was telling me, oh, come, so you can see the things, you can visit the store. And the location of this store, I don't know if this store still exists, but it's Brooklyn Heights. Brooklyn Heights nowadays is an area in New York that's extremely expensive, really expensive. So it's beautiful too, this beautiful brownstone. So I went there, and he was working there, and he was busy always in the end of the store. So the store was very long. So I started walking through normally the store, you know, start going through and start seeing all the things and looking at everything. And I was like, wow, this was really a high level place. And you could see everything there was really, they don't accept anything. The things are donations. They don't buy things. The things are donations, but the donations, they are really high level, and they revert some of that money to certain institutions. It's not like something that revert every single dollar, but they revert a portion of it to some institutions. Anyway, so I continue walking through the store, and so you go through clothes, then you go through shoes, then you go through bags, and then you start going towards the bigger pieces of things, and that's when you go to the furniture area. And then I remember had lots of furniture. The store is very big, so I had lots of furniture. And then I started feeling very sick, like with a very, very powerful headache. My head was like really like a boom, boom. And for me, it's very, very difficult to have headaches. It's really like, I don't even take any medication for headaches because it never works. Because usually when I have a headache, it's spiritually related. So I start having these powerful headaches, and I start like, my God, I was feeling so good. What is it? I had not connected anything with spirits, especially because I absolutely love to buy used things. I love it, love it, love it. And I donate a lot of things also. So a lot of people say, oh, be careful with what you buy. It is true. It is true. If you're like me, if you like to buy used things, be very, very careful with what you're going to buy. Very careful. So I never buy anything that's expensive. Never. Because when things are expensive, it can be dangerous, because, you know, you don't know who was the owner of that object. Especially jewelry. A lot of people like to buy jewelry, expensive old jewelry. Be very careful. Anyway, so I started feeling bad. I saw a whole set of couches and tables, and then I saw a man, probably a husband of a customer, reading, I think he was reading some kind of newspaper. And then I look at that man, and I don't know why I was attracted to start to continue looking at him. And when I turned my head, when I looked again, then I saw an old lady screaming at him and telling him, get out of my couch. This is my living room. This is my furniture. You don't sit here. I don't know who you are. And then I was like mesmerized. I was like so surprised with what I was seeing. Obviously, the man, he couldn't see, he couldn't feel. He was like, continue reading the magazine. But I felt really, really bad. And she was in such a state of mind that she really couldn't see anyone else. In her mind, she was alive. That was her. I don't know if she understood this was a store, but she saw was her furniture. And when I realized there was her whole living room was there, the couches, the middle table, the lamps, so was everything donated. So whoever buys that furniture is getting a free spirit. So we have to be very careful. It's not, you have to understand, it is not because something is expensive and it was donated that it will have a spirit connected to it. It's not like that. What happened is that if the owner of that furniture is materialistic, is extremely connected to material things, then yes, it's a big possibility that this spirit will be connected to it. But please understand, in Spiritism, never you can say this and this will happen, because there are so many different possibilities. This is one of the possibilities. So if the owner was very connected to that, very attached to material possessions, this is possible. So we have to be careful. So we can imagine the situation for the woman in the spiritual realm. She is disturbed, and obviously this is not making her situation better. She is really suffering. She is really in pain, and will take a long time for her to be able to disconnect her energy from that material things. And we don't know how does it work. We know the spirits are always helping, and she will not be alone. The spirits will continue going and making calls, telling her, come with me, let's go to some other place, let's get help. But it will depend on her free will to decide to go or to continue there fighting with anyone that touches her ex possessions or not. So this is the point that the brother of the family, dog, is the point that he brought. And it's so true that we have to be very careful with material possessions. We already studied a lot that material possessions, when we go to the spiritual realm, we do not take any of our material possessions, nothing. Everything will stay here. We were born naked. We are going to go back naked. But thank God the spirits give us some clothes. So we have some clothes to survive, to live in the spiritual realm. But what we take with us, we already discussed it so many times. What do we take with us? Can you just write quickly so I can see if you guys pay attention? What will we take with us to the spiritual realm? I'm waiting. Come on, Teresa. So, Matthew, let me see if you guys know what we will take to the spiritual realm. We can't be waiting forever. You guys are too shy to write anything. There is never a wrong answer, guys, but we will take with us everything we did, the good and also the bad things. We take everything. So whenever we are improving, if we're improving intellectually, we are going to take these intellectual improvements with us. If we're improving morally, we are going to take these moral improvements with us. The mistakes we did, the errors we committed, we are taking those with us. So it's this balance. But we are not going to take this bottle, and we are not going to take the box of gold either. So these material things, they stay in the material realm. and the spiritual things, they will go to the spiritual realm. So this is why it's so important for us to don't waste time, to be quick on our improvement, working every day, using the chapter 23rd. What? So much light here. The word. Go back to chapter 23rd and read it. The word. Improving our intellect. But we know, of course, that improving the intellect is actually much easier than improving our moral side. Our moral side, it's much more complicated. So this is the one that we have to work constantly, constantly, constantly. And we also know that in this time of coronavirus, that we are in our own homes, social distancing, and some places in total lockdown, we still can work in our moral values. We still can be charitable. Yes, I understand that there are lots of issues, lots of things happening, a lot of stress, a lot of people unemployed. I was seeing the news today. The amount of people unemployed is very shocking. I'm talking about the United States. The news of today, April 23rd, was showing that in every 6 Americans, 1 is unemployed. So this is a huge, huge amount of people. So we know the crisis will be very big, but we still can be charitable. You know, even if you cannot donate money for other people, you can donate yourself. You can donate your love. You can donate a charitable word. I believe this is a very good time for us to start contacting people we love. You know, I am a guilty person because I am extremely WhatsApp person. I have many groups, really, too many actually. And because of the amount is so huge, and you know, there are so many people in these groups, we have a tendency of being very generic. We have a tendency of just forwarding things or putting like a little hand whenever we like something, and we kind of distance ourselves from our good friends. So this is a time for us to actually pick up the phone and call. So I am this one saying that I'm guilty because I'm horrible with phones, but I made sure that I was going to start calling my friends. And I'm very happy that last week, every day I called a different friend, and we were able to see the video and spend time together talking about our lives. So it's very important for us to keep this love going on. This is also charity. People that you care, and sometimes because they are in different countries or different states, we have a tendency of not getting so close as we used to. So it's very important for us to practice it. So whenever we go back to our normal lives, that we know it's not going to be normal anymore, because it's going to be something different, but we will have this beautiful time that we were able to reconnect with people we loved. And of course, even with all this pandemic situation, there are lots and lots of groups still getting together to be able to provide food or many other things to other people that are in worse situation than what we are. So the point is, whenever we want to do it, we will find it. So again, comes back to us. We have to have the free will, the action. We need to act in order to be able to do it. So let's do it. Let's not stay just sitting in our couches and sometimes start thinking about negative things, because we all have our moments, you know, we all have our moments. I'm so good. My life is terrible. We all have these moments, and we have to be careful when we are down to don't be contaminated with many negative thoughts. In times like this, that we are not exposed to the outside, we cannot actually enjoy the outside like normally. That's more difficult. So whenever we can, especially I'm talking about big cities, that is more complicated. But if you live far, if you live like in a rural area, then you and the nature are one, and this is a blessing too. So, my friends, this was the message of today for us to understand, with this beautiful text of the furniture. Hopefully, we all learned a little bit about it, and that we can improve, and we can really think about our furniture, our things, and understanding, even if we love it, please don't think this is very important, because you do not want to be the person that somehow your couch is going to end up somewhere and you're going to be very upset about it. Okay, so now we are moving to the Gospel According to Spiritism. Another beautiful book, very important. And as I always say, people don't give much attention. They're like, oh no, that's the Bible is too boring. I don't want to do it. And remember, nothing in Spiritism is boring. Nothing is boring. It's everything is very important, and they have the key things that really connect us, and we have to explore this. So if, for example, if you see this book, it's thick, and you see this book, it's very thin. So you say, oh, okay, I'm going to study this among brothers because it's a thin one. But this, the gospel, too thick. Now, I don't want to waste my time with this. Be careful. Be careful, because this is not the way that you are going to really be improving your moral aspects. Whenever you see something is difficult, something is complicated, so it's one point that you have to overcome. Okay, this book has 500 pages. I will study it and donate yourself to it. And as I always say, when we do it together, it's easier. It's like it's less complicated. So let's do it. And we are in chapter 7. And today the items will be number 11. The Spirit's teaching, pride and humility. So it's kind of connected with our one before. Now it's like, oh, I'm so proud to have this beautiful bedroom set. Be careful. Be careful. Be careful with it. So this pride and humility, the number 11 is a huge, huge, huge text that the Spirit Lacordaire from 1863 gave to us. It's a beautiful letter. And this is a beautiful letter that gives you lots of details about the proud people and the humble people. And it connects with the message of Jesus that says that the kingdom of heaven is of the little kids. So we already started in the weeks, prior weeks, that the little kids, Jesus mentioned the little kids, they are simple. They are simple. They when they are little, they still don't have all the problems that the adults develop. So their minds are still clean of that. Even if we know little kids are old spirits, they might be very old spirits. They had many reincarnations. They are at that moment in a very young physical body, and they will develop. So I will read and talk to certain portions of the message, but I don't think we will be able to digest it all today. But I want to go through it. It's very beautiful, very powerful. So just to start, So Lacordaire wrote this message in Constantine in 1863. So who was Lacordaire? Lacordaire was an ecclesiastic man, but he was also a writer, he was a thinker, he was actually a political orator. So I don't think he was involved in politics, but he was a very powerful speaker. So he was always giving his political statements, probably in his own church. But I was in that time already when he was living. Here he's discarnated, but when he was living, he was a bright, very, very bright mind. So he starts, may the peace of the Lord be with you, my dear friends. I have come to encourage you to follow the path of the good. He continues, and he talks about humility on the second paragraph. Please, if you want to ask anything, just let me know. I'm not even looking here. So if you want to ask anything, make a comments, and then we can talk about. So he goes to talk about humility. So without humility, can you be charitable toward your neighbor? Without humility, can you be charitable toward your neighbor? Oh no, because the sentiment puts all men and women on the same level. It tells them they are brothers and sisters and they must mutually help one another, and it leads them to the good. So we need to be humble in order to think about our brothers and sisters who are not blood related. So we have to think about them are people in need. And if for you to be able to help someone, you have to imagine this could be my own sister in this situation right now, without a job, with kids, maybe the husband is sick, and then you can help them. Because if you think like, oh, those people, no, don't even know who are those people, it's not my family, so you do not connect with them and you do not exercise charity. So you need to humble yourself. You have to lower your pride, because we all have our pride. And when you get more humble, you are able to connect with the pain of other people. And then you can exercise the beautiful power of charity. Today, I received a video of a friend from Brazil. And, you know, coronavirus is everywhere. And of course, in countries that still have a lot of poverty, it's much more difficult. You think about poverty in the US, but it's much more difficult in Brazil. And now imagine in Africa, for example. So you start going lower and lower. So then this video shows this man in a huge field, and there is a little kid who is actually, I don't know how to say the word in English, but he's cleaning the grass. He's not cutting. It seems the grass was all cut and had a lot of dirt, had a lot of things. So this kid has that kind of tool that has like a trident almost to pull things from the floor, you know. So this kid is pulling these leaves and these things from the floor and making little mountains all over. But this place is huge, and he's cleaning all of this. And then this man is filming, and this man is saying that that is his land. And he went there to see how it was, because he was going to bring a machine to clean, to collect all the leaves. And then he found that kid doing it. And then he said he spoke to the kid, and he said, what are you doing? And the kid said, oh, I saw that this needed to be clean, and I decided to start cleaning, because I live alone with my grandmother, and her job is to collect paper and cardboard from garbage, and she sells it. But because of coronavirus, she's not able to do it. She's older, and she cannot get out of the house. So I need to find a way to help, because we are hungry. Today I had no breakfast. I had no food. And this man says that's already lunchtime. So this little kid, 10 years old, very skinny, didn't even have breakfast. And he worked the whole morning. And then this man, he got so touched with that. And he started asking, oh, you live alone with your grandmother? Where do you live? And he said, oh, I live nearby, and you can come to see my house. Long story short, this kid worked so hard, and this man, he mentioned that he was so amazed that he wanted to help him. So nowadays, it's not very difficult for us to be able to get other people involved, because we can create fundraisings, and there are many different tools and apps that allow you to post a video, to create a history, and send to the world, and people start donating any amounts. And of course, unfortunately, there are lots of people who create fake stories, and we even saw not long ago in the United States a man that was homeless, and it was all a creation of a couple, and unfortunately he raised a lot of money, and it was not true. But this kid was true. So this man, later on, he went to visit his house, because it was not far away. And the house was not even a wood house. It was like a house created with paper, with pieces of metal, you know, that the kind of very, very simple home. And this man, he created a fundraising. He took pictures, he filmed, he posted on the internet or GoFundMe, maybe a different one in Brazil, I'm not sure, but he was able to raise a lot of money. And besides this, he also posted in his own social media, and the people donated a lot of food for him and his grandmother. So there is another video, a lovely video of him giving thanks to everybody who gave him things, and thanking God for putting that person in his life that was able to do that. So it was so beautiful, so powerful, and we all can do that. We all can do that. It's so simple. It doesn't cost anything for us. But unfortunately, a lot of people see something like that, and they probably will tell the kid, oh, thank you so much, and maybe we'll pay him, or maybe we'll not pay him, and we'll continue with their own life. But what I'm saying is this person that can do a little bit more, a little bit extra. And that's exactly what this man did. He did a little bit extra. So he was able to help so much this family. And this is such a blessing. So if we all could do a little bit to anyone that we meet, it's already a wonderful thing. We are evolving morally because we are having this compassion. We are humbling ourselves to connect with the pain of others. So this other, this neighbor, this unknown person could be our family member. We don't know. So this was a powerful story that I absolutely loved, and I will post the pictures and the video in the Facebook page of Miami InnerLight, so you can see this later on. So this was how Lacordaire started talking that we need to humble ourselves. Another portion here, it's about pride. So he goes, pride is the terrible adversary of humility. If Christ's promise the kingdom of heaven to those who are the poorest, it's because the mighty, the important, the famous, the rich of the earth imagine that the titles and riches are rewards given for their own merit, and that their essence is purer than of the poor. They believe that these are old to them, and that is why they accuse God of injustice whenever he takes them away. So what he's explaining here is that the mighty of the world, the rich, the famous, the high class ones, they believe they deserve to have the power, to have the money, to have whatever. But whenever something goes wrong with them and they lose it, they lose that power, they lose that riches, then they rebel against God, because they understand, that they are suffering an injustice. Why this is happening to me? So they don't understand that to be proud in this sense of not even accepting God, it's not good. They don't understand it. So this is something that he starts talking, and then he says, oh, such a mockery and blindness. Does God make distinctions about you because of your bodies? This actually reminds me coronavirus. Yes, God doesn't make any distinction of us. If we are men, women, rich, poor, black, white, spiritist, atheist. No, we are all his kids. And the coronavirus, the same thing. It's everyone is going through it. It doesn't matter what. There is no distinction. Everybody is going through it. So that's things that we have to understand, that God's love all of us, even with all our imperfections, because sometimes we already perfected something within ourselves, but we still have many other issues that are pendant, that we still have to work on it. But God sees us as kids, little kids, some a little bit older, in teenage time. So the teenager time. Oh, our prayers in 1 minute. I talk more than I could. So the teenager ones are the ones who require more production because they are a little bit older. But the little ones, the 1, 2, 3 years old, then this, like he understands, these little ones, they will take a long time to be able to reach to a better level. But he loves all of us together without distinction. So this is something for us to think about. So I will continue studying the message of Lacordaire next week. This is good also that now we are doing it weekly, so we don't have to wait 2 weeks to be able to continue our studies. So if you are new, I mentioned in the beginning of the text that I invite all of you to put an alarm on your cell phone, exactly like I did. Put an alarm on your cell phone at 9:59, so at 10 o'clock we get together and we pray for our planet. So 10 o'clock, let's pray. Jesus, our Master, the governor of the planet Earth, at this moment we are here thanking you for everything we have in this life, especially our physical bodies, our health, our family, friends. And during this time of coronavirus, we start reflecting about everything we were doing before, how our lives changed, how will be our future, how different it might be. But even with all the difficulties that we will face, we want to thank you so much for another beautiful opportunity of being incarnated on earth, of living this moment that is so difficult. But this is an important moment of reflection, of a self-analysis, because at this moment we have to understand what we can improve. How can we leave the situation better than how we started? And with this, we would like to ask your protection, your blessings, the good vibrations of all the spiritual nurses and doctors to be put on, especially on the hospitals, in our physical doctors and nurses, all the personnel that are working to help the population that are still in lockdown or in social distancing. Protect the police officers, the firefighters, all of the people that work in pharmacies, in supermarkets. Protect them, Master Jesus. They also have families, and they also have loved ones that are afraid of it. But most of all, we would like to ask you to give us strength in our faith, give us this perseverance, this positive energy, so we can vibrate love. And with this loving energy, we can help our planet to move on. Please stay with us now and always. Thank you so much. So be it. Very good, my friends. Thank you so much for being here. It was again a great study, and I hope to see you again next week when we are going to be doing the chapter 25. Please put in your agendas the 10 p.m. is only 1 minute prayer, and we know when we pray together, it's much stronger. If I pray alone is very good, but if a lot of people pray together, it's a blessing. There are many different groups praying in many different hours, so join one of those groups and pray together. You imagine if you have one pencil, it's easily broken, but if you put 20 pencils together and you try to break, it's much harder. So this is the type of energy. We are all together, condensed, sending this loving and strong vibration to help this coronavirus disappear, so we will all be able to start reconstructing our lives. Thank you so much for being here. God bless you all. See you next week. Bye-bye.